Welcome to Environment 380, Wilderness in the Anthropocene, a summer course, now in its second decade, offered by the University of Washington Environmental Studies program and longtime UW instructor, Tim Billow. This course is taught primarily through the lens of a 9-day wilderness backpacking trip in the northeast corner of the Olympic National Park, which occupies the homelands of the Squamish, Squamish, and other Coast Salish people. It explores the human relationship with nature and what the loss of wild spaces means for our future, from ecological, psychological, and philosophical standpoints. Using wilderness as a baseline, it also challenges the idea of wilderness itself, how the concept of wilderness came to be, who it benefits and who it doesn't, and what value it offers society in the Anthropocene, this human-dominated epoch, a critical juncture in Earth's history. Each student on the course leads an evening discussion around a topic they are interested in, often incorporating outside quotes and background studies as a way to introduce the topic and provide more fodder for discussion.
Where you kind of propose it, it gets approved by Congress, and then you can roll it down to the...
Taking place around the most traditional of discussion spaces, the campfire, the conversations last deep into the night, as everyone is inspired to think deeply and speak their mind. Often on their first or last night of the course, discussions are led by guest speakers, ranging from wilderness resource managers and specialists, to nature artists, to advocates for diversity, equity, and inclusion in wilderness spaces. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is the central theme of the course, with many readings coming from authors not typically included in the wilderness canon. Students consider the fact that wilderness as both a concept and a physical space have respectively, figuratively, and literally dispossessed indigenous people of their lands and resources. Students examine the causes, consequences, and potential solutions to the fact that wilderness spaces have historically not been and are still not always safe and accessible spaces for all demographics. Students on the course come from a variety of backgrounds and majors. For many, this is their first time ever backpacking, with much of their gear borrowed from a gear cache at the Program on the Environment. But with each passing day, students' legs grow stronger as they travel from old-growth forests to alpine meadows, to rocky ridges and snowfields. A sense of camaraderie and teamwork builds. There is no phone service and no internet, but students realize that life can be more fulfilling when it is whittled down to the essentials of food, water, teamwork, and the genuine friendships formed through shared physical and mental challenge. While the weather does not always cooperate, this too is part of the challenge and the learning experience. Students learn they can survive even when it's raining and they are far from their trappings of modern civilization. They learn to take care of themselves and each other, managing their food and shelter as a team. More often than not, however, Northwest summers are sunny and warm, and the mountains become a comfortable home with incredible views and wildlife to boot. When traveling in the mountains, it is impossible to ignore the effects of climate change, including evidence for range shifts of plants and animals up and down the mountainsides. The Olympic mountain range and its many historical alpine glaciers were connected to the continental ice sheets that flowed through the Puget Trough and Strait of Juan de Fuca only 16,000 years ago. Despite the intrusion of the ice from the north, as well as the growth of alpine glaciers down valleys in the Olympics, many of the highest ridges and some valley bottoms remained ice-free during the last ice age, providing refugia for many local species, as well as Arctic species that had moved southward. Many of these species can still be found today in small relictual populations, and some of them have evolved into forms unique to the Olympic Mountains, which the course seeks out and inventories every summer. Today, all of the Olympic glaciers and snowfields are in a rapid decline. Along with the loss of ice and snow, also comes a decline in a unique suite of species tied to the ice, including iceworms and snow beetles, and a number of bird species that survive by scavenging invertebrates that die on the surface of summer snow. When comparing historic photos to photos taken by this course, one can see just how dramatic the glacier retreat has been since the onset of the Anthropocene. The remaining early summer snowfields, however, make it fun for climbing and enjoyable, but controlled sliding descents. Having traveled from the hardscape of downtown Seattle to the heart of the Olympic wilderness and back again, students reflect on the relationship between humans and nature, as well as the value of wilderness in the Anthropocene. While everyone returns from the trip with different personal lessons, one thing is certain: personal growth is enormous, and those lessons will not be soon forgotten. Students also take away enduring friendships and set of skills that will lead them to a lifetime of outdoor exploration. Perhaps more importantly, students have learned to live more lightly on the planet and to prioritize those aspects of life which make them feel more fulfilled.